Hey everybody, Build It here. I'm going to be doing a video presentation slash tutorial on making a picture frame. So this is going to be the one that I showed on Laser Layer, which is the pre-K through senior picture frame. So you're looking at what was that, like 13 years of pictures that need to go up. So the way I designed it is there are two like 5x7 size that go on there. So pre-K was 5x7 and senior year is 5x7. Everything else in between is like 3x5. In millimeters, it's actually the 5x7 is like 127 by 177.8, and the 3.5 by 5s are like 50.8 by 76.2. So we'll be setting that all up on a setup here. So the way to do this is to actually make all your little frames first and evenly space them out. So we'll drop a little one. I'm going to do the 3x5s as my main one. We need it unlocked because they're going to be different dimensions. So you're going to set the dimension. Then you can copy and paste it or create an array of two of them, or two rows times like 6 each or something like that. Can't remember exactly. We can always delete or add as we go if we need them. So we'll start with that. We got one. We'll put in our size that I already said what it was. It was 50.8 wide and 76.2 in height. And let's go ahead and create an array of them. We will have 6 columns and 2 rows. I think that's I think it's where I start to see that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that might be too many. Might be one too many on there, but we'll get it worked out. Anyway, that's our initial starting point. Oops, don't want that. In the wrong mode. Hit the escape key, which takes me back up to my selection. We can select that and kind of move it over on our workspace a little bit. Now let's create our first 5x7 frame. What we could do is just go ahead and copy one of these. They have them grouped. Okay. I will ungroup it because I don't want them grouped because we're going to be moving things around. Now it's ungrouped. We only have... Oh. I did it again. Hate when I do that. Had it selecting. Okay, so we'll copy that one. We'll change our size to our 127 by 177.8. And that gives us our first 5x7 frame. And we're going to end up doing like as you see what I'm doing here is part of them are down below like this. Let's do this. Put that back. We'll select these. And then we'll come over here and we'll drag it underneath like that. And yeah, I think that's the way it goes. Copy this. Control V, put it here. And it's going to be under there like that. So that's your basic layout right there. And also, you want to look at the spacing between each of these. Maybe we need a little more space. Because not a whole lot of space there. Also, you can see it's not quite lined up perfectly with the top frame here. What I tend to like to do is I like to kind of come in and I like to move things around so that things line up on nice lines, and it makes it easier for me to line things up as we go that way. I may end up having to move some things to make it adjust, but by keeping them aligned, see there's a grid line here, I lined it up on that grid line. So I'll drag this down so it's on the same grid line. That keeps the top edge of all these on the same layer, on the same level. And then we'll do the same thing down here. We'll move this down and put it on the grid line down below here, so it falls on that lower grid line. And then we'll go look at our sides to make sure our sides are good. So you see here I'm off on the side. See right here I had this on the grid line, I don't have this on the grid line. So now I'll readjust that part. Move over so I can see it. And I'll adjust this so it's on the grid line. And then I'll come over to the other side, which is gonna be off now, like the picture frame is gonna be off. Move that down. Get it on the grid line as well. It's on the grid line on the side here. These are on the grid line on the side as well. So now everything's squared up with each other. So that's the basics of the whole picture frame right there. So the only other thing you need to do is create a rectangle that encompasses the whole thing, leaving enough room for screw holes to go in, because you need to screw 3 layers together. So one layer is the top layer, which has the frame which you're going to attach a name to. The second layer is a piece of like very thin acrylic or polystyrene that you can put in between to protect the pictures. The back layer is the layer that actually mounts the pictures on. And what I do is I actually engrave all of these little squares that we have, all these little things. I engrave them into that back section, so that way you know where to place the picture so that it lines up with the front frame properly, and you don't have to keep jostling things around. So by keeping it nice, by engraving it, it gives you a nice line to work with. So let's create a frame here that's big enough, like I said, to put in some holes. What size holes do we use? That's the question again. So that's the other thing we need to think about, is what size holes. So remember, if you hold the shift key and drag, it'll make a perfect circle. So what's a good size hole? I think I ended up going like 10 millimeters, I believe it was, when I did it before. Maybe not, maybe a little bit smaller than 10 millimeters. We'll make it 8. And what we'll do is we'll copy that and we'll put one over here. Oops, Control V. Put another one over here. We'll line these all up in a little while. Right now I just want to kind of get them on so that we have an idea of where to go with them. You know, it may be that if I use a grid line, I can put it on that corner right there. I can center it on that corner so that it centers there. Just drew a circle. You know, I can come over then to the other corner and come out by one basically, and come over here and put it in there in the second corner, which is then 1 by 1 from the front. When I say 1 by 1, it's 1 by 1, 1 square by 1 square from the edge of the device. So up 1 square, over 1 square puts me in that section right there, and that gives me a nice neat place for my drill holes. So these are the holes that we're going to put through to screw everything together. So now let's put a frame around the whole thing. So we'll go and grab a rectangle, and we'll kind of start out here, bring it all the way down like so, and that gives me like a one area. I'm going to move everything over. Oops, did it again. It's easy to do. You forget what mode you're in. The escape key gets you back into selection mode. I'm going to move everything over so I'm not right on the edge of the work area. So I'm moving over like 2 squares. There. So that gets everything on a nice neat 9. I'm a little off up here. You can see I'm not on the grid line. I want to be on this grid line when I'm doing this. I'm going to bring that down and put it on the grid line. I'm going to bring this one over and put it on that grid line. I'm going to come down here and put this on that grid line. And I'm going to even this up so it's basically 1 by 1 away from where the hole is. Oop, didn't get it. I think it was 1 by 1. Can I go 1 by 1? No. It's like, yeah, so it's 1 over, 1 down, yes. All my stuff got moved a little bit when I moved everything. You can see all my frame is off, and my, just give me a minute here, let's fix all that. Everything got moved a little bit. Oop. Okay, I'm gonna drag that out of the way. Fine. I can see everything got moved. So I can see right here that that this is not on a frame line now. Not on a grid line. So that's got it on the grid line again. And that put everything back squared again. Because I have a problem with that. It bothers me when things aren't lined up properly. You know, I can put this up here, get it in position so that it is. So the way I'm doing this is if you go over 1 and down 1, that's the corner of that. Up 1 and over 1 is the same thing here. Again, keeping things squared up, right? So I'm off on this side, over 1, up 1, down 1, over 1. We're getting everything squared up and even all the way around. So that's the basics of the whole frame right there. Now it's just adding text into the whole thing. So what you want to do is, let's duplicate all that. So highlight everything, then right click your mouse and come over here to duplicate. Now we've created a duplicate layer. Let's put our duplicate layer, so select, hold on a minute, let's redo that. Let's group it all. We'll ungroup it in a little bit, but I want to group it all so it's easier to select and move the whole thing to a layer at one time. Now we'll right click and we'll duplicate. Of course, I'm not going to let me duplicate now, right? Oh, there it is. Duplicate. Okay, so now I duplicated it. I'm going to grab my duplicate, maybe, and I'm going to put it on layer 1. And if I hide layer 0, you see I have an exact thing as layer 0. I'll hide the other one and show the other one. So that gives me a duplicate layer of everything. Now, I got a little ahead of myself. Let's not do that. Let's back out of that, because I just realized I want to have all the lettering and numbering on it. So I'm going to delete layer 2. Delete all that. Because I just realized what I want to do. I want to put all of our numbers and stuff on here. So what I used, I believe I used REL. I like REL text for like block letters and stuff like that. So we will select our text tool and go to Come on. A. Arial black is good. And we're going to type in, I'll put it in cap lock, $3K. Now that's probably big enough for this. You come down here and we drag it down. And what you're going to do is get it lined up so that it's touching the bottom of the picture frame. Now maybe this is too big. We can shrink it down. Move it over a little bit more toward the corner. But make sure that it goes to the bottom of the frame. What you're going to do is you're going to actually select it now. And you're going to weld these two together. Oh, deleted it. Okay, let's try it this way. Okay, so we do a union, and now, as you can see, it's part of the frame now. So that's all you do. You just go through and now and do each one. There's pre-K. Next one is K. So we'll grab our text tool again, and we'll type K. I think I have cap lock on, so K will come right out. And what's the next one? 1, then 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The last one is senior. Put that out of the way. Okay, so now we just grab them and put them in place. Select one, select the other. Go back here, do the union again. It didn't work. How come? You know, I hate when it doesn't work. Oh, it just, okay. Weird. Why it did that, I don't know. Okay, anyway. That was weird. When I did a union on that one, it didn't work. When I did it on the other one, it didn't like it. Isn't that strange? Cancel. Go to this one. Not going to weld either. Not doing what we want. So maybe I didn't get it low enough onto the other piece. Let's try that. No. Now we go to the union. Okay. I just didn't get it low enough onto the other part. So you actually have to have it overlap onto the other part. Now we're going to get one. Make sure it overlaps. As you can see now, if you look carefully, I have it just below the surface. We'll now grab the other one by shifting and selecting, and then we'll go over here and we'll do that union again. And you can see now, then we say OK, and now we've got it on there. Do 2. Until you click OK or whatever it is on there, it won't actually permanently do it. So you have to select OK or whatever it was on that menu for it to work. So go back in here, go to Union, and you have to click OK, and then it's permanently done. Now, if you're worried about getting it perfectly even all the way across on all your letters, I mean, it's going to be pretty close that you won't notice it by eye, but maybe you're a stickler for exact measurements. There's a way of making sure that all your letters align exactly the same, which if you really want to do that, I'll show you how to do that in a moment here. Let me just finish what we're doing, this one that I'm doing. I'm going to get my Union. Okay. What you can do is you can actually just sit there and create a temporary or a tool layer that has a rectangle in it. And we'll put it on our tool layer number 1. And what I'll do is I'll actually put it like so. And I will move it down so that it lines up with the top of the K. And we can move up so we can see it a little better. Get it lined up with the top of the K. And then you see, just by eyeballing it, all mine are right even, right? It's not a problem. But maybe you care. So I mean, it's a tool layer. It's not going to ever cut that layer out. It just gives you now something to align your stuff to if you want to be that exact. I'm not really that worried about it, but I just wanted to show you that if you wanted to have the precision, you can do that, and that will give you the line to put it on. And then keep things, oh, wrong thing. And then we'll Union that. So there is 1 through 5. And you just come down here and do the same, oops, I still have it selected as a rectangle. And grab our tool layer and drag it down to the bottom, and basically repeat what we were doing for the alignment. If you want to align it, you just move it. So we did through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, senior. So just come down here and you get it in place. As soon as we get that in place where it's overlapped, then we can grab our box, line it up at the top of the 6, and now we have our alignment for all of our other numbers as we do it. Now we select 6, select the rectangle, Union it, grab 7 and put them down here. Grab our layer, Union it, go over here and grab 8. Union 9, Union 8. So that's pretty much all we do here. Just repeating the process over and over again. One thing you could do if you want to is maybe you feel the spacing is a little too far between the 1 and the 0. You can go and change the spacing right here, your horizontal spacing and your vertical spacing. So if I go here, my horizontal spacing, it changes the spacing between the numbers. You know, it's a choice you make. I'm not worried about it, but I'm just letting you know, giving you the options that you can do if you want a little bit closer spacing on your numbers, or even text when you're typing text. Sometimes when you're doing, well, you'll see it when we go to do the name. Right now, let's just finish this up. Select 10 again. Select our frame. Go back into our union. Do 11. Union that. Now we've got senior left to do. Remember, holding the space bar puts the little hand up so that you can drag your workspace around. And union senior in, and now we've got our whole frame done. Now we can duplicate this. So what I want to do is I want to make this a cut layer. So 10 by 50 is my speed, pretty much for my CO2 laser to cut this wood. I use True Flat on my frames. So True Flat makes different pre-finished types of veneer plywood. I use walnut and maple on the ones that I did, and so it's a nice flat piece of wood. It's not going to be warped. That's the problem. You buy like Home Depot style wood, it's warped and it can be all kinds of weird shapes. So we don't want to deal with that. So we don't need this tool layer anymore. That was only done as a temporary placement. So now what we want to do is we want to grab everything, and we want to duplicate that by right-clicking your mouse and selecting duplicate. Now we've created a duplicate layer. We'll put it on layer 1. I hope that's what it did. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So now I got layer 1 and layer 2. So layer 1, I want to change it to my engraving speed. So we want to make that like 150 and probably like 15%. It'll automatically change my minimum power. So that'll give us our engraving layer. But we want to do one part differently on this. We want the frame to cut, so we need to put that on a separate layer. So this is my backboard. This is my cut layer. We're going to call that, well, in my case I use walnut. So this is going to be my walnut. Walnut cut. And we'll say okay. On this one we're going to go, this is going to be my maple engrave. And you see when I change the name, right up here next to the layer number, it changes that name so you can see what I've just done. So that way you get you get a better idea of where things are located. Now what we want to do is I'm going to turn off the black layer so I don't actually select things from layer 0, my walnut cut. And I'm going to select the blue, which is going to select everything because they're all grouped together. And I'm going to ungroup it. And then what I want to do is I want to grab my picture. I don't want that. I don't want to grab that. What I want to do is I want to grab all of these, and when you drag, so if you drag from the bottom going up, you see the square is green as I'm selecting it. that will select everything it touches. If you grab from the top going down, you have to actually envelope everything that you want to select. You see, I didn't select the square, this frame over here, because I didn't have it inside my area that I selected. So it's easier when you want to select things, but you don't want to select parts. Like I don't want to select the screw hole, so I can come over here and can select starting like this, and everything it touches is going to get selected. So now I have all those selected, and I can group them together by themselves. Now I'm going to take all of these. I have my cap lock. Selected my cap lock, not my shift. What I want to do, I want my shift and shift and shift and shift. So I shift and selected each one individually. Now I have them all selected separately. I'm going to put this all on cut layer 2. So this is going to be a cut 10 by 50. And it's going to happen after I do my engrave. So I engrave first, cut after. So that's how I have it set. So now it's all together. I am going to group those so they don't get moved around, because they're now all permanently staying together. So that's all of those. What we can do though is now I want to duplicate this layer, because I got to cut the I forgot what they call the material again. The plastic anyway. Not acrylic, but anyway, polystyrene. So using polystyrene plastic because I can get it really thin, like a 1/16 of an inch thick instead of 1/8 inch thick, and that's going to be my protective cover over the pictures. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to put it on layer 3. And that will be, let's put styrene. Styrene cut. And now I got my styrene cut layer. It doesn't need to be nearly as slow or as high a power. The styrene cuts really quick. It will melt and burn and do all kinds of lousy stuff that you don't want. You don't want to burn at too high or too low a speed or too high of a power. So I'm going to go about 15 on my speed, but my power is going to be like 30. And that gives me my styrene cut layer. So now I've got all my layers done. Next thing we need to do is create our name. So what I've done when I do the name, because it's going to be cut out of a separate piece, is I actually create a block around it, because I want to use the letters themselves, the cutout. After I cut out the letters, I want to use that piece that they cut out of as a alignment tool to align my letters to put them back in the spot where I want them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create we'll put on layer 5. I like highly visible, so I'm going to 9. I like highly visible layers. I don't like to not be able to see what I'm trying to work on. So I'll create this little box around here, and that's where the name is going to go on during this. So it's going to cut all this out. So we'll change this to 10 by 50. Change that to 50. Anyway, that's going to be a line. Oh. That's going to be a line, not a fill. No, line. Okay. Now we've got our line, and we have that all set to 10 by 50. So that will cut that part out. We'll leave everything on the same layer of layer 9. When I do this, I'm going to turn off layer 1 now. Oh, what happened to layer 2? I lost my layers. Oh no, no, there it is. There's that one. What happened to my... I must have accidentally put all of them on there at the same time. That's weird. Oh, that was weird. It's just hiding it. Okay. So there's my layer there and that layer there. Okay, so this is, let's go here and I'm going to change this name to Maple Cut. And that gives me what I'm doing. Okay, so we have walnut cut, maple engrave, maple cut, styrene cut. I usually do the styrene as the last thing I do. We're going to have this as we'll just call it name cut. Okay, so now we have our name cut. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose our font again. So go back into text, and we'll choose well, let's start off with the last name. We'll do the last name first. So I'm just going to use my name. I'll put it in caps, cap lock, Divine. Put it in here. Make it a little bit bigger than this because now we're making the name more of the what you want to know, because that's who it's related to. And then we're going to select another text, and now we're going to find a nice font to do this in. I use a script style font when I do it most of the time. As you noticed in the other one, script seems to be the way that everybody's doing it. So freestyle script is one. I'll use my full first name instead of just my William. Now this may not be a good one because it's not connected. But all you gotta do is just go up here and just find a different font. And it'll change them all at the same time. Here's that Halloween ghoul that I just did on the Halloween door hanger. So while this looks cool, the problem is, see how thin these lines are? You won't be able to cut those. You won't end up with anything left when you go and just... It's good for an engrave, but not good for a cut. Or good as a fill at engrave, but not as a cut. This kind of works, but I don't like the font myself. Poop. Hate that. I just don't like that font. You can double click on it, it'll select the text line that you're in right now and put it back in text mode. This is the one we already tried. Let me move this over so I can't see it behind the selections. I like to see what I'm doing. Here's Palace Script. So Palace Script has the same problem the other one did. It's not thick enough on some of the lines. so it won't cut out properly. So you really got to pay attention to what you're actually choosing to use. Doesn't connect. So as you see here, these don't connect together, but that doesn't really matter too much, because what you can do is, let me just show you. So here it is, it's not connected, right? If you go up here and you change the spacing though, going to the horizontal spacing, I'm putting more space. I can go the other way. I can start dragging these things till they mate. Now some of them go a little too far, like the eye here went too far, right? You see, the eye went too far. So what you can do is you can actually divide up the name into separate pieces and put it all together too. But I don't really like this font. I'm just showing you how you can make things weld together by manipulating this spacing. Back to 0. Okay. So now we'll go back into our text file here. Find a different one. So here's a thick black. So this would work. But you can see that the spacing is too close together on the I's and the L's and all that. But so all we got to do is just go into our horizontal spacing and change our horizontal spacing to bring it out. But then it goes too far, and then you aren't connected anywhere. So that's not necessarily a good font either. I think this is one of the ones I used actually right here. So we'll go back and we'll change this to 0. Make it fast and easy. And now you can see it's nice joined together on the ILLIAM. You don't have to have all letters joined. That's because this is going to just be a form basically. So now we'll go and we'll select the whole thing. Bring it down a little bit. I'm going to rotate it. And then I'm going to make it bigger. I have a fairly large space to work with in here, as you can see, from what we created our frame around. I can rechange the angle a little bit to make it a little bit bigger if I want. Oops. Bring it down a little bit. So, you know, something like that. And there's our name block that we can cut out. And like I said, this whole background piece here, because it's all going to be cut out, becomes your alignment tool, so you can just put your letters through it. So what I do is, before I cut anything out on this piece, I'll make this piece a certain size already, and I will put double stick tape on the back of it. And that way I cut through the double stick tape. I just peel off the double stick tape, then I can stick the letters through the original piece of wood that now has the letters cut out of it. I put the letters back in, it glues, pastes right through it, and pastes right to the other piece of wood, or the walnut, as the exterior frame. And that's it. This is the entire design of the frame. So now it's just cut it out on the laser and assemble everything, and that's it. It's really simple, really easy. Little bit probably long video, because it's just, there's a lot of things that happen when you have to create all these different pieces and do all the stuff. And I'm trying to show you some of the tricks to help with alignment and make it easier for you to work and get things lined up. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, so if you like it, great. So hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. If you have any things that you would like me to cover, As far as Lightburn goes, or designing some project from scratch, I did this one on my own. I saw what ones looked like on Etsy. There were frames similar to this or like this on Etsy. I looked at those and said, "Oh, I can design my own. And I can do that. I can make that. That's easy. It's not difficult. It looks difficult, but it's not." And I just showed you how easy it was to just create the array of all the picture frames and do everything. So I hope that was helpful. Hopefully that's it. Anyway, build it out. See you next time. Bye.